Hey there, hi there, ho there, and hello there. Welcome back to another exciting edition of the Cardinal Couple Radio Podcast, where we discuss the joy and excitement of UofL women's athletics on this bright, clear, and crisp fall morning. A lot of fun things have transpired over the week with Cardinal athletics. A couple of downers in there. You're going to get that every once in a while, but we're very excited about the way that the major teams in the fall we cover are doing, and looking forward to the winter squads as well coming up. But I'm looking forward to today's podcast. We've got a foursome in here. Let's get right into it and meet the contestants today. As they say, we've got Case Hoskins in here. Case did today's article at cardinalcouple.com and is a font of knowledge about things.
Is that so? Am I a font? I was,
Well,
I was just reading the comment that Jared
you're
pointed out
welcome
in
to
our text
disagree
message.
with me.
I guess it depends on what the topic is as to whether I'm a font of knowledge on it or not.
Okay, well, with that ambiguous statement about Case, we'll certainly move on here. And Case, it was great having you on the show. We'll
Well,
talk
no,
to
like I said, I was just very distracted by this very angry UK fan about the slide at the at the
What?
Hoover Center. So
What like a what am I trying to say? Like a hill to die on. Like really?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
yeah, they're not taking it seriously because there's a slide.
I was
Yeah,
just thinking
I
about
guess
what an amazing recruiting tool it is.
Right?
I guess Clemson football's not taking it seriously since they have a slide either. So
I'm thinking that Lola and Lucy are going, best dad ever. They saw that, right? You know?
I think it's more for boosters from my limited time talking about the slide while I was on that project before I left my previous place of employment. Pretty sure it's
Oh,
for
wait,
like
you have inside knowledge on this?
recruits and boosters, not like regular use by the players. I can't imagine that the team wants to risk too much a player injuring their ankle by dismounting the slide poorly onto the practice floor.
Well, they showed walls coming out of it. He almost fell on his face, the
Exactly.
one that he did for us. And I'll be quite honest with you. When I saw it, my first thought is, okay, so you're in the media, you're interviewing Walls, and all of a sudden he's not happy with the way the interview's going. Trapdoor opens. There you go. We'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by. And all of a sudden you're on the first floor with Morgan Jones staring down at you going, need a hand up?
See, nobody's
See,
too
I
worried if
really-
Walls
Throwing a
twists
pick
an
on you.
ankle.
I got the message with this thing that it's like just don't take life too seriously. Like I can imagine somebody's having a bad day, they come in,
Right?
Walls realizes it, and he's like, "Listen, take the trip on the slide." And then, I mean, how does your inner kid not come out with this slide?
With a smile, yeah.
I think that it's good that the slide is up before the skywalk because you don't need sleepy basketball players coming directly across the skywalk from the dorm, being on the second floor and being like, "Ah, gotta get down to the weight room," and then hitting the slide. Like that's the last thing you need. So it's good that for now the skywalk's not there. They can all get used to the novelty of the slide before that connection is made eventually.
And I feel like it's only on the women's side. Is that correct? Because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's only one slide, but I mean,
That's cool.
they connect. Somebody could just walk across to the women's offices and get to that one.
And if you think the slide is fun, wait until the Tilt-A-Whirl gets installed. Whoa, look out, folks.
I heard Kenny Payne is looking for a fireman's pole for his side.
Well, yeah, we don't even want to go there. Yeah. Strippers and such. But okay, so Case has come in and definitely made an impact within the first 3 minutes of the show. So let's move on then to Daryl. Daryl, what's going on? Good to hear from you again, my friend. Congratulations.
Thank you. Paul saying congrats because I did just accept a position with UofL's business operations yesterday, and I put in my notice with the Y, and I am so very thankful of Paul and his reference for me. I'm sure that made all the difference. Put me, in another category than
You
the
put
other
up
two.
with this guy? You must be all right.
It did put you in another category. That is, you could.
I was at the highest tier because of Paul.
I got this phone call from Josh Hyde asking me how much I'd had to drink during the phone call. So I don't know. I must have said something good about you, Daryl, I guess.
In typical Paul fashion, he replies to me after I let him know that I have him down, that he was going to let them know of my drug dependency and my love for John Calipari.
Yeah. closing down bars in the Highlands. All those great things to put on a resume. Yeah, but that's
Well, thank you
fantastic.
all. I really appreciate it. I'm really excited.
Now we have an indoor. Okay, Daryl will be leaking all those information, but there's a mysterious discrepancy here in the budget for men's soccer. 47 cents went undetected last Thursday.
I saw a student with a UK sweatshirt on. Somehow, all his records were deleted, and his tuition was multiplied.
Yes, we feel the fun has just begun. There we go. Yeah, congratulations to you, Daryl. Certainly, I know you'll do a great job for and everything on it. And then you and I were talking a little bit about earlier about some of the things that you were going to be giving up on that. And if the bats goes by the side, I can certainly understand it. But you're going to have a very, very sad and unhappy Nick Hearn, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. But I have a feeling I'll still see him around with women's basketball, and the benefits seem pretty awesome. I didn't really think about it, but looks like they're offering like 2 classes a semester too. Like
Oh,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I don't have any desire to be a student again, but I mean, if they're offering,
But you can find like some classes that are just kind of like, hey, that sounds like that would just be interesting to learn about.
yeah,
That's not necessarily progressing towards any sort of specific program, but
it would be exciting just to look at the classes again and just feel
Yeah.
like you're a student again.
I wonder if that's going to put you in the same realm or same area as Nick Evans ended up after he left, being the Cards WBBSID.
Mm-hmm.
If Nick's in your area, that'll be fun.
Yeah, Nick's always a good face to see.
Y'all can go to lunch together, and then of course go over and check out the Tilt-A-Whirl when it's installed.
I'll
recommend-
skip that.
I recommend avoiding classes offered south of Eastern Parkway.
yeah.
I would have avoided all of those if I could, but unfortunately, that's where almost all of mine were.
Oh, well, I tell
Yeah.
you what,
Yeah,
I tell you what, when I ended up over in business school as a CIS major, I sought out a couple of classes over in speed school because they were specifically topics that I wanted to learn that weren't really well covered by the CIS program. So, it can be.
Every time I drive past a speed school, I just look over and I'm amazed at the people that get through that.
Just amazed by the dejected faces on everybody there. And like,
waiting at the bus stop.
yeah, it's like looking over and seeing the Addams Family house while the other side of campus is just normal town.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at him from tearing down Parkway Field because when I played in intramurals, I parked 2 up there on Eastern Parkway when I played softball for my fraternity. 2 big shots to left field, and then boom, all of a sudden they take my field away. It used to be my playground. Cue Madonna music. It used to be my... No, never mind.
Constantly evolving.
Indeed. Unfortunately, change goes depending on how you are on which side of the change channel. Good to hear from Daryl then doing that, and certainly we'll be interested to hear her trials and tribulations and successes as she continues on as a paid employee of the University UofL, paid and played, I might say. Jeff McAdams in the house with us today as well. Jeff and I were talking just a little bit about some of the fun things that can go on with technology. What's going on with you, brother?
Oh, same old. I feel like every week I talk about how busy I am at work, and it's just kind of the new normal at this point. But things going well there. Getting more responsibility thrown at me, so that's always interesting. Had a matches this week. One down at KFC Yum Center was a lot of fun, and one last night. We'll be talking about that in a little bit, so that always puts me in a pretty good mood. Other than that, kind of playing around with technology as I am wont to do. So because I'm a geek.
And it's always a good sign or a bad sign when they throw more work at you. Either they're like, he can handle the load. Let's give it to him. Or he's not doing anything there. Let's give him something.
This is the former, and it's positive. It really is. It's career progression for me is what it is in my case. So, yeah.
And progression always better than regression.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Potential future opportunities that could be really good for me, hopefully. So,
Wait until you get retired and you could look forward to squirrel battles in the front yard on sunny afternoons.
Listen, I am not retired and I already do that.
Yeah, that's a fun part of life too. Because if you
Or-
bet on the white squirrel through FanDuel, you're going to make a lot of money.
or if you're in the Highlands this week, it can be cow battles.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They've rounded up the herd, right?
Have they gotten that final one? There was one that was really eluding them for a long time.
There was
I'm
one
trying
that was
to imagine the greens at Cherokee Park.
I totally was hoping that we could build an urban feral cow population, right?
You stole that from the internet. I saw.
No, I came
saw
up with.
several posts about that.
Well,
Yeah.
then it's parallel creation then because that was my
Yeah.
own thought on it. But it might help driving around here if
Yeah, let's put
people
cows behind the wheel.
realize that they're turning a corner and there might be a 700-pound side of beef in front of you, right? Maybe slow down a little bit.
It just boggles the thought. And what's next? Goats, lamb. I don't know.
Goats actually aren't all
We already
that
have.
uncommon.
Yeah. We have goats race around in Germantown, and
Mhm.
they got all kinds of things happening.
Nulu.
And some highway departments have experimented with using them to kind of graze the grasses beside roads and stuff, but that ends up being problematic.
There's enough roadkill on Louisville or
Yeah,
on
right.
Kentucky highways. I don't think we need to add to it.
It's tricky to get right.
I'm still traumatized by my encounters with Bill the goat back when I was a young grandchild on my grandfather's farm in North Carolina. Goats and I will be mortal enemies until I die.
Goats are kind of scary.
They're also vindictive,
I believe that.
and they have a long memory too. I would go back each summer, and Bill would still remember me. I just don't want to get into it. Okay, but anyway, a lot of therapy got me through that too. As for me, yeah, a busy week, just kind of following UofL sports in general. Sonya and I've been out doing some stuff. I had a couple places I had to go, a couple trips I had to make, a couple doctors I had to see, but I'm still upright, which is good. Everybody loves that, and looking forward to next week. And as always looking forward to the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. So, Jared not with us this week. He's taking pictures of cheerleaders at 11 a.m. So good for him. I hope the day goes well for him. His burgeoning photography career takes another bump. Certainly, I know he's excited about it because Jared just loves to be turned loose with a camera in front of girls. So
I think he just loves to be turned loose with a camera.
Yeah, I think that's
Jared
right.
just loves to be turned loose.
Yeah,
That might be true too.
And the camera not is, as Katie aptly described it one time, he's like this big dumb lab that somebody let off the leash.
You be careful, Paul. You're going to end up with pictures of goats in your inbox.
Well,
You're going to log in one day and go,
hi, remember me? I'm Bill's grandson, you bastard. Get back down here.
Okay, start randomly injecting goat pictures into the articles.
Oh,
I
it's
don't
on,
believe you.
Paul.
Oh, here we go.
You've
We're gonna have
opened a
some fun with
door.
this.
Only with signs around their necks that say, "Hi, I'm Bill."
Yeah.
Salary records 2 midfielders, 1 goat for 2023. You all have a picture of Bill the goat and there with the bell around his neck. Salary feels the goat could be very helpful in defensive situations by eating the ball. Yes. But that's enough of the frivolity here for a couple of seconds because we got to get on to scheduling and Twitter, and it's kind of late already for that. But I know Case will do a fine job on it. So take it away, sir, with the scheduling and Twitter information.
Indeed, I will blitz through it. We've got women's tennis at the Mississippi State Invitational today. Football taking on Wake Forest at 3:30. Rowing is in Tuscaloosa for the Alabama scrimmage this week. Men's tennis is in the mini duels, Fighting Irish mini duels in South Bend, whatever that means. Is that a leprechaun thing? I don't know.
I'm just like, go on. Yeah, I'm not going to go into that.
Yeah. Softball is wrapping up their fall season in Lexington, taking on Kentucky today. Women's tennis and men's tennis continue their events tomorrow. Men's basketball kicks off the winter sports of the season winter sports season officially with an exhibition against I don't know how to say it correctly in French, so I'm just going to say Lenore Rhine. I know that's not right, but that's 2 p.m. in the Center tomorrow. Nothing on Monday. Halloween, I guess, is something, but that means I need to switch to November. On Tuesday, the um, field hockey ACC tournament begins. Louisville's game time not exactly determined, just because for some reason they haven't listed the seed numbers on the games. I guess they're trying to
There's
see.
still a little controversy and debate going on with that right now, from what I understand. Because
Well, even with trying to figure out who's what seed, I don't know why they hadn't assigned the seeds to game times.
oh, we
But
know we're going to play a 3, whoever
oh,
it
we're the
is.
3:30
Right?
game.
No, we're going to play a 3 seed.
Oh yeah. I know
What
who
time?
the
Who
team.
knows?
I know the seeds are playing. They didn't announce what time which teams are playing which
No,
games
they haven't. They haven't done that yet
for
because there's
whatever
some
reason.
controversy. Duke being the 7 seed and hosting, they may want some prime time, and then the ACC may be battling over that. So
Well,
we'll
that's
see.
ridiculous. Just because you're the host doesn't mean you get to pick the time or whatever.
Yeah,
Louisville will probably play at 1 or 3:30. They probably won't get the 6 o'clock game. That event continues through Friday. Louisville's participation in it may not, but the event does. Men's
Hello?
soccer takes on Virginia Tech in the ACC championships on Wednesday. That time also to be determined. The men's tennis ITA National Fall Championships begin on Thursday or on Wednesday. Thursday, men's basketball hosts their second exhibition match, taking on Chaminade at 7 p.m. in the Center. Is women's basketball not playing any exhibitions? Are they just not on the calendar?
no, they're going straight to Cincinnati,
Okay.
playing Cincinnati for their first game.
All right, that's a choice. But
They
we'll
have
see.
had a couple of unofficial scrimmages that nobody can talk about if they want to keep their lives.
Those closed door ones, like when they
Yeah,
lose to Ohio State and then beat them by 30 later in
under
the
the
season.
cloak of night, they snuck in a team, down to Snyder and
Yeah.
into the campus, and they played and then left under, armed security guard.
Yeah. So that gets us through Thursday, Friday. As I said, field hockey ACC championship would be that day. Men's tennis continues their event, and volleyball takes on North Carolina State at 7 p.m. in the L&N Federal Credit Union Arena. No video listed for that for some reason, but I imagine it'll be ACC Network Extra.
Yeah, I would think so.
As for Twitter accounts, I tweet is at Best Case Scenario, BST Case Scenario. Polly is at Cardinal Couple. Jeff is at Card Couple Radio and at Jeff McAdams. And Daryl is at Daryl Faust 4. She gets to go before Jared since she's here this week and he's not. And Jared tweets is at Mr. Anderson Jared. As always, you can check out the right side of the Cardinal Couple website for the Twitter widget with all of the UofL athletics accounts.
Lots of great information over on that side of the site, and certainly check out the daily articles that we put up. Case had the write that was out today. We've had Jared write this week, of course, and Jeff will write tomorrow, and Daryl always with good articles in there. It's just a fun thing for you to do. Take 15 minutes while you're drinking that morning coffee. Take a look at Cardinal Couple. See what we got to say. You'll be happy you did. I can guarantee you that. We'll move on into the meat and bones of the show here, and I kind of predetermined that we would start with women's soccer this morning. Nobody said no to that, so we're going to go ahead and do that as the Cards brought in number 2, North Carolina, to Lynn Stadium, and certainly an event that the Cards were hoping to maybe pull off a miraculous upset in this one, ultimately losing 2-0 though to the Tar Heels, keeping them basically shut out in the first half of this one, keeping hope alive. But then North Carolina kind of rearing their ugly head and getting 2 goals within about a 2-3 minute span there in the early part of the second half. I guess they may have been about 20 minutes in, I guess, halfway through the second half to take the lead, which they would never never lose. Louisville never led this one, but a match where the Cards didn't exactly get blown out, but still, unfortunately, a loss that as we talked about this and looked about this case, there were 2 shots that Louisville had that could have arguably been goals any other time. Indeed.
Hello?
This case has got a blankness to him here
Sorry
about
about
this.
that. Sorry about that. Muted.
No problem.
I didn't get to watch this one, uh, but yeah, I was keeping up with you guys with your tweet or with your the texts that, when you're talking about the game. Um, it's just the way that it goes sometimes. The woodwork is part of the problem. You get a nice shot from Maisie Witset, one of those ones you're talking about. Has a shot from outside the box and it just comes off the crossbar. A few inches difference, and she probably beats the goalkeeper. And then you're talking about Louisville with a first half lead against the top 5 team at home, playing for um, playing for pride with nothing to lose really for this Louisville team. Um, had already been eliminated from the ACC tournament, which effectively eliminated from the NCAA tournament as well. Uh, and that can be dangerous for a top-ranked team like North Carolina, who's trying to position themselves for the postseason. Louisville almost snuck in there, like you said, with a couple of really good shots, but unfortunately couldn't break through.
Yeah, unfortunate as it was. And then the one where Patricia Ward in the second half, man, I'll tell you what, she sent in one that I thought was going to get by their goal keeper. Addie Chester had the shot. She got it behind the Carolina defense, and then unfortunately the keeper came out and met Addie right there and grabbed the ball, knocked it away, and Corian Dente had just a beautiful look on the rebound. It looked like she was going to be able to just do a tap in. And she tapped it all right, but it deflected off the left post and had a play there also. Two prime chances that the Cards had there. And it's been kind of a hard luck story for Louisville women's soccer this year, I think. Would you agree?
Did you say my name?
And I've lost Daryl again as well.
No, I didn't hear my name. Sorry, I was looking at some
Oh, okay.
stats too. I
I
remember.
need a bell I can ring, I guess. Go ahead.
Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
Paul's just being a jerk.
my thing is going in and out, so I'm kind of confused if it's me or the program or whatever. But anyways, so didn't get to get eyes on this match either, but I was following through text and some stat broadcast, and I was thinking about the beginning of the season when we talked about, or when I specifically talked about seniors that I think would have an impact on their squads this season, and I had Maisie Witset, which I mean that's probably a safe bet. Anybody would pick her, but she did lead the team with 4 goals, 3 assists, and 11 points on the season. But in this match particularly, what stood out to me from the stat sheet was the amount of shots taken by the Cards versus the ones that were actually on goal. And you all said that you thought maybe 2 could have been goals, but they looks like they only recorded 1 as a shot on goal. So that's a huge number that stands out to me of not being able to find the back of the net in this match. And I think that if they did get at least 1 goal on one of the best teams in the country, it would have been a huge way to finish the season just mentally and for this squad going into the off season and just kind of cap it off a little better than being shut out.
Yeah, the disparity there, Daryl, is that shots that literally hit the goal are not shots on frame.
Which
Mm.
is
So the
somewhat
two,
ironic.
the 2 that hit the woodwork,
Yeah.
those aren't shots on goal. Addie Chester's one that was blocked that led to Corinne Dente's shot was the only shot on goal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I learned something new every
Now
week.
you learn.
Guys.
It's because it's not a save, right?
Uh-huh.
Right.
And it's not a goal. So a shot on goal has to either be a save or a goal.
I
So
see.
if
I
it just
see.
hits the woodwork, it can't be a shot on
A
target.
shot
On
shot
target is really the better
Yeah.
wording.
Okay.
The
A shot
target
on
is
shot on
inside.
goal is a shot that has a chance of going in, and if it hits the bar or whatever, it's not gonna go in, so it's not technically a goal.
Gotcha. I know
Yeah.
you all said game of inches the other day, or maybe that was field hockey. Either one. I mean, it's the remains true, but so I didn't actually get eyes on these shots that were taken.
Unfortunately, they were shots that were taken, but just missed. Also, the Cards will say goodbye to some very, very key and influential seniors on this team, starting with Sarah Hernandez. Been so valuable to Louisville as a defender in her years at UofL. Patricia Ward, who came in and took the forward job, one of the forward spots, and did a good job with it. a transfer into the portal through Minnesota. Certainly approve of the work she did. Raven Alexander, who's played a defender, who's played a forward, really done a lot of things for Louisville in her time on campus. Hate to say goodbye to her, but unfortunately, she will be leaving. Corian Denty, who we only got to really see 2 good years out of her because of her injuries and stuff. Had her out for a couple years, but certainly a player who showed a lot of promise and a lot of potential. It's one of those players, unfortunately, though, that had injuries kind of delay them and keep them from doing what they could probably do well because of that. I do understand there's some talk that Madison Ellsworth will be back for another year, though. The Oregon State transfer is coming in as a defender. And certainly, if that's the case, then that'll be very, very good because she's shown some wonderful things for the squad in her time there. So it's always good to see you're getting one back in that case. And from what I understand, Riley Milady too is going to be leaving as a junior. She's already graduated and will not be taking any type of senior or graduate type of option with the Cards. It's tough to say goodbye to them, Jeff, and certainly we've named some there that have been very, very influential for Louisville women's soccer.
Yeah, it's a rough time of year for kind of all those fall sports as you start getting into senior days and you see the seniors coming up and getting their recognition, but you think that you're not going to see them on the field. It at least not many times longer, when there's postseason opportunities. But with soccer, we don't even have that this year. So yeah, it's a little tough to do that, and they deserve that recognition. Absolutely, particularly the ones that have been with the program for their full career with us. So it's it brings some tears to my eyes occasionally when I'm at senior day events. So it's tough.
Maisie Whitsett, of course, one that most Cardinal fans who have a general knowledge of women's soccer will remember and know quite well. Came in, and I can remember when she was a freshman so many, many years ago. Without getting into names, one of the former SIDs of women's soccer absolutely forbid me to interview Macy as a freshman. Thumbs down. I said, I'd kind of like to talk to this freshman here. Whitsett who scored this winning goal. No.
Multiple game winners that year.
Yeah.
She's not doing any interviews as a freshman. And I said, oh, well,
okay.
I'm not going to call the person out, but anyway,
Yeah.
that former SID is no longer with UofL, except a brief cameo appearance on the ACC network every once in a while. Anyway, moving on from there, we wish soccer the best of luck on the recruiting trail and also bringing along the underclassmen for next year. Hopefully a season where Karen Ferguson days can get above 500 again with a booming record and get the Cards to the NCAA tournament. Let's hope all that can happen for Coach at KFD. We also had field hockey in action. That was a match yesterday, and the Cards, I think, came away from the New York swing where they lost a couple to Syracuse. They lost one to Syracuse, one to Cornell up there. 2-game losing streak. They come home. They're looking forward to some big things happening here in front of the home crowd. They're bringing in an opponent that I think is possible for them to beat in BC. BC is under 500, but unfortunately, Jeff, it just didn't happen. 4-1 win by the Eagles.
Yeah, it's a little mystifying. I think like I didn't get the opportunity to watch it because I was working, but it was like, what happened? I agree. I know any team in the ACC is a good field hockey team, but I'm just mystified at how this ended up being 4-1. And Boston College isn't that much better than we are, I don't think. So I'm curious. Like I said, I didn't get to watch it, so I can't really analyze it too much. But man, I'm scratching my head on this one.
The score is kind of a head scratcher, and the Cards actually scored the first goal of the contest. So you're thinking to yourself, okay,
Yeah, it
off
was a
to
good
a good
start.
start here.
Yeah.
We're going to get this done. We're going to be fine on this. But unfortunately, BC just responded with 4 straight goals after that. One of the BC players had a hat trick against us, and that's always something you got to kind of, think, gee, couldn't we figure it out after the second goal? She might be hot and stop her, but it didn't happen. And what it does here, Case, is it puts the Cards in the unenviable position of going to the ACC field hockey tournament on a 3-game losing streak.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit last week that, you know, winning this match would have put Louisville at the 5 seed. If they were the 5 seed, then they play the 4 seed with the opportunity to say hello to UNC briefly while they move on to the finals in the championship is what would be expected. And so Louisville losing would have put them at the 6 seed, but it was my opinion, and it still is my opinion, that when you're looking at a team that was kind of maybe making some people on the selection committee nervous. You would rather not lose to BC, and that was assuming that you beat Cornell. They lose to both of those teams. Louisville sitting at 12-6. I mean, Boston College won yesterday, and they're still below 500. So that's not ideal for your tournament resume when you're sitting at now 1-5 in the ACC. Not really sure what Louisville's.
Where did they go off the train tracks here is my question. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a mental thing, because if you look before this week, obviously, Louisville was undefeated in non-conference, but then every single conference game they just struggled. Even in the game against Duke that they won, it had to go to penalty strokes, and the only game that they scored more than one goal in conference play against Syracuse, they still ended up dropping that match. So don't know if it was a mental thing with conference games. Louisville is not new to the ACC. They understand how difficult it is. They beat teams that are ranked much higher than some of these ACC programs during the regular season in non-conference. So a little bit confusing as to what the mental block was. Hopefully the team can, get over that hump and going into the ACC tournament, if they can win 2 games and play against North Carolina, and then, maybe they could even win that game. I think Louisville's capable of beating anybody in the country. They showed that when they beat multiple really good teams in the country, right? They just
They're
stumbled
capable
against
of
ACC
losing to
teams.
anybody in the country, too,
They
after
are
that
also
Cornell game.
yes,
Geez.
yes, they're also capable of losing to anybody. But if they can, string together 3 good wins, if they can string together 2 convincing wins, and then perform admirably against North Carolina, that's going to make the selection committee take notice. If they can, put 3 wins together, then obviously they're in because they would win the conference tournament. But
Okay, that's all well and good, but let's just take an objective look at this thing here. 2 weeks ago, this was a team that was number 4 in the nation, Daryl. This was a team that everybody was thinking, oh, look at them go along here. They could be, a great NCAA tournament team.
Mm-hmm.
Now, are they an NCAA tournament team? Some people seem to think they're on the wrong side of the fence.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking looking at the schedule. Like you've mentioned, the 3-game slide, and it's just not how you want to finish out a season, losing to a ranked team that you're better than. I mean, we kind of can maybe chalk up those New York losses to, let's just say it was cold. But you come back to your home turf and give up 4 goals and a hat trick to someone. It's just not a good way to close out the season. And I'm just looking at the numbers, and the Cards were outscored 9-3 in those 3 matches. And I was just curious if you all thought, because you did get to watch it, if you all thought this was an issue of getting offense going, or maybe just keeping or defense, keeping the other offense from scoring. So just thoughts on that.
Sasha Elliott had been playing so well back in goalkeeper and doing a really good job for the Cards back there. We were all kind of patting Justine Sowry on the back for that pickup and getting her to the roster and such. But she kind of, as Case put it, came back down to earth. I'm going to say, proved she was immortal by allowing 3 goals or 4 goals yesterday and registering just 3 saves. Sasha's done some wonderful things back there, a goalkeeper this year, Daryl. But let's face it, if you're going to have a good quality team that's going to compete, you got to have somebody in the goal who's going to make the stops day in and day out, not only when she feels like it. Is Sasha pretty much throwing in her towel? Those are my questions. And it would be a bad time of the year if Sasha's all of a sudden decided, you know what, my last season, who cares? I hope that's not the case.
I don't want to put that on her. I don't think that she, like I put in the article. I mean, she's due to have maybe she was due to have a bad game, right? She was one of the leaders in the country in save percentage. She'd been kind of put on an island by her defense in numerous games and kept Louisville in a position to win. I think what really hurt Louisville was in this one, the offense was kind of not there after the first goal. Louisville had 8 corners and they had fewer shots on goal than that. Boston College had 1 corner and they scored on it. It was one of those things you could tell looking at the stats that Boston College had watched film. Julie Coweiser had 3 shots, all on corners, all blocked. So Boston College knew that was a play that Louisville was going to run. They've scored a lot of goals on it, and they said, you're not going to do it to us. Louisville didn't really have an answer to that, and it just kept getting worse for them. Every time Boston College would score, it didn't feel like Louisville had an answer. And it's kind of been like that all season, where when the other team gets an advantage, Louisville doesn't seem like they're going to come back, usually. That game against Duke was kind of an outlier. I mean, it took until 8 seconds left in the game for them to come back against Duke and send that one to overtime. So it like I said, it seems mostly mental. I mean, the team's really talented. They don't play well from behind, and they haven't played well against conference competition.
Jeff, what's your thoughts here? Is this a team that could make an appearance in the NCAA tournament, or are we kind of waiting to see what's going to happen in the ACC tournament before we make that call?
Like Case was talking about earlier, I think there has to be a good showing in the ACC tournament for that to happen. I think otherwise we're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, to me, they're out right now.
Yeah, they've got the opportunity to salvage it with a good performance in the conference tournament, but at the moment, I think we're on the wrong side of the bubble looking in.
Like, clearly, the conference has been the struggle.
Right.
And it's arguably the strongest conference in field hockey. Some people would claim to you that the Big Ten is stronger, but that's a tough one to call right there. I think that when you take a look at the body of work in North Carolina on top, that's just a machine right there. I don't care who you are. There are some small nations over in Europe who could not beat North Carolina in college competition, Daryl. But, hey, we hope the best for Justine. And certainly she's got some players that could get it done. What I like is she's got some really good freshmen and sophomores that have developed quite a bit this year and could be a challenge for the ACC next year as far as their skill set goes.
We'll have to keep our eye on it.
Keeping the eye open, indeed, will be what we'll need to do. And let's hope Justine gets in. Let's hope we can say a lot of great things about her on next week's show. And let's hope that they're on their way to an NCAA tournament win. I guess we'll even know if they're in and whether they've won a couple by then, won't we? By next week.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
We will see. Keep your fingers crossed for Louisville field hockey. Do that. Let's move on into the excitement, though, where the Cards brought in Duke for volleyball last night into the L&N Federal Credit Union after the magnificent performance they put on in the KFCM Center against Notre Dame. They go back to play Duke, and we'll start out with Jeff here. Wednesday, of course, was incredible, but they come back home to what they call a home right now in the LFNCU and did really good against the Duke squad that was kind of outmatched, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. We were talking about this before the show started, of course, and it's definitely a win. We swept them. The start looked really good. We beat them in the first set, 25-12. Right, this is pretty much a beatdown of a set. But about midway through the second set, they really just kind of took the foot off the gas, sort of is the metaphor there, and they were up on Duke quite a bit in the second set and let them really kind of get back into it, win this at 25-20. But it was quite a comeback from Duke to get to that point. And then the third set, 25-22, again, kind of a tight battle there. So I'm a little quizzical on this. I'm certainly excited to get a win. Certainly excited that volleyball is still doing very well in the overall scheme of things. Only 2 losses on the season, but there's still definitely some hiccups in what this team is doing right now that I think they kind of need to get sorted out. You talked about having moving to the exciting part, and here I am going, well, maybe not completely. So, but yeah, I mean, good win, a lot
Joyful
of
at
fun.
least.
Yeah, absolutely.
W's are joyful. W's are
W's, yeah,
excited.
they are. You don't want to look that gift horse in the mouth, and it's But I definitely look at this team and I say some things that need to be cleaned up and see what's going on. There's been a lot of discussion about the absence of Anna DeBeer, obviously recovering.
And that's about where I was about to go.
Yeah. Coach Busby Kelly did a pre-match event for Side Out Club members, season ticket holders at the KFC Yum Center, and she was giving her little spiel, and then she said, and turning to the elephant in the room, when is Anna going to be back, right? Was how she put it. She is close to returning. She warmed up last night with the team, but then did not dress out for the actual match. So she's definitely getting there. Nearly recovered. I don't think she's going to be quite 100% when she comes back, but she's getting there. And her absence has really shaken this team up more than we realized. We look the initial look at it, when you look at what Anna DeBeer was doing, you would look at it and say, oh, well, okay. And Nina Mbono comes in and becomes the outside hitter kind of in her place. Although really, when you get down to it, Claire Chaussee moved into Anna's position and Nina moved into Claire's previous position. So, but, and Nina's done well in replacing the offensive prowess of Anna. A little bit of a drop off, but not a huge amount. What I think is, go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, no, but what I think we really have lost is Anna's ability to go 6 rotations and play defense. It's putting more pressure on our other DSs. It's interrupting some of the other offensive options we had because we're having to sub in more DSs to take over that back line 3 rotations where Nena would be if she were to stay in. And, I think that's really kind of shaking this team up a little bit more than we recognized maybe for a few weeks.
Again, I'd agree with you on that. And also, I take a look at it too. They've only really lost 1 match since Anna's been out.
And that was the Pitt. I mean, no shame in that.
It was the match of the century right there. That was a fun match to watch, regardless of which team won that thing.
Well, the first 2 sets weren't, but
they'll get their revenge.
Correct.
Yeah, those first 2 sets, you were kind of thinking, okay, if we got another miracle, against coming up here like we did against Notre Dame and the time they played at Sacred Heart during the power outage, is that in the offing? Could that be happening? And it was almost there. It almost happened. I'm sure that there will be a lot of excitement when the Cards host the Panthers, or back in there on the November 18th, maybe.
Yes, it is. And since we're talking about that, I was just curious if, Jeff, maybe you have an inside scoop. What are the odds that moves to the Yum Center?
Basically 0.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know how far in advance they needed to know that, but I mean, that's going to be a hot ticket if it's not already sold out.
That was part of the discussion with Coach Busby Kelly in the pregame on Wednesday night. And they wanted to have more matches at the KFC Yum Center even this year. And she said it was an education to her how far in advance events get booked at places like the KFC Yum Center.
Actually, I'm about to look it up and see what they have going on that
There's
night.
nothing on the calendar that night, which is
we play Gonzaga the night after that.
Yeah, but they apparently were unable to get any others down there for whatever they're scheduling. I don't know. I haven't dug into it. But she was saying they may not have even any more, maybe still only one next year in 2023, that they're actually looking into 2024 to try to
Oh my
schedule these.
gosh.
Yeah.
This is stupidity at its level. Then I mean, clearly, what does the
I-
UofL not get about this?
Well,
No,
the
no,
problem
no,
is the
it's-
UofL doesn't own it, right?
Right. It's not U of L's
It's the
facility.
cities to rent,
But
and
aren't we
UofL's
supposed
just
to be the
top
prime
leaser.
tenant in there?
Basketball
Yeah,
is.
basketball.
Do you want to make money?
Yeah. I mean, you know,
Well,
that's
no,
like,
the
how
reason we
stupid are
can't, no, the reason we can't schedule it is because there are events going on. They are making money. And they're probably making more money than they would make off of a volleyball match there, to be completely honest. But it's not U of L's event. Volleyball doesn't have right of first refusal on dates, so they've got to work around the other events in that facility.
I'm going to go out on a limb then. If Tom George was still the athletic director, we would have an 8,000 arena sitting right now where a bunch of Ford products are next to the soccer field. Okay.
Well,
I'm
if
gonna
Tom
go
Jurich
out-
were still athletic director, that
No
would mean a
comment about
whole
all
lot
of
of
this.
other things would have gone
I'm
differently.
not going
That's
down
right.
this hypothetical.
Yeah.
I'll just
Sorry,
leave
I
it at
sneezed. I thought I was muted. My bad.
that. Daryl hasn't had enough of my opinion and sneezed it off. So, you know, build it and they will come. That was an old Howard Snellenberger phrase, and by golly, you know,
Yeah, you got to have the money to build it.
you
So,
know, you got to open up volleyball. Then more, it's not to be for the
Yeah.
rich elite. You know, who can go in there and be one of the 1,000 in the spot. Come on,
Yeah.
come on, Lowell.
well,
The
I
other
know they
thing
want
was,
to.
if you saw the match on TV, you saw the clips from Katie George when she was playing down at the Yum Center. And
Yeah.
did anybody notice how naked the stands were?
Oh my God, it was
It was
painful.
horrible.
It was
Look.
thin down there.
Yeah.
Imagine having to play in front of that. That's just
I
it's just
didn't
crazy.
watch this telecast, but I mean, I was a season ticket holder then. I remember those days, and it was,
you
know,
can hear people across the arena.
you were hearing crickets in the place. You know, it was just there's just when you have 2,000 people, and even when they close off the upper part of the facility, and you only have the lower bowl that seats 11,000. You just get lost, So I was thrilled that we had over 9,000 there Wednesday night. That's fantastic.
I was shocked.
Particularly on a 8 p.m. Wednesday night match.
I
Against
said
the junk
to somebody,
team
I
coming
hope
off
they
the-
get to.
Yeah, against a not very good team. I don't know that volleyball will be able to sustain that level, but it does hint that they could sustain maybe a 5,000 or 6,000 size crowd,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, which would be fantastic.
I
And
think so.
might be worthy of the KFC Yum Center. Might not get totally lost there.
It's doable.
Yeah.
Keep winning.
Yeah, for sure.
Or to have 6 games left before the season ends and they go into postseason play. I think it's fairly safe to assume right now they'll make postseason play.
Yeah. It would be hard not to.
One of the quirks on the schedule is they haven't played North Carolina yet this year, and they'll play them later on in this remaining schedule within a week of each game. One over at the LFNCU and also one down on campus at Chapel Hill a week later. The Cards get to end the season at Notre Dame, which should be a fun one to watch. And just a few days before that, the rematch with Pitt from what it sounds like in the LNFCU. So
You buried the lead there a little bit on those North Carolina matches, because in between those two matches, you do have Georgia Tech, which is a pretty intense match.
yeah, and certainly in not being done with my overall, Jeff has jumped in there and certainly taken the lead at the quarter pole, claim a foul by the riding jockey on the other horse.
I just point out there's a big match in the midst of that.
And you got a big pointer, so keep going with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. The volleyball is your realm.
No, you're fine. No, I've Georgia Tech's a big match. It's in there. But yeah, a couple of really big matches still on the schedule with Georgia Tech and Pitt. Notre Dame's not much of a threat to us, I don't think. North Carolina State, maybe a little bit, not much. As long as we come out and play well, I think we'll be okay.
I'll remember the days of the killer bees at
Right.
Georgia Tech. And I think there may be 1 or 2 bees left down
Yes.
there.
Still have 2. One of them graduated. So
yeah. Let's hope that the Cards can go 6-0 in these final 6 matches and then take their way into a high NCAA tournament bid. Time, of course, will tell. And as I can speak, I'm sure for a vast population of the Louisville fan base, it will be nice to see Anna DeBeer back out there taking
Yeah.
swings. We know it may take her a week or two to get back to her previous form. That sometimes happens with injuries. The recovery process, once done, you have to get back into playing shape. But I'm hopeful that'll happen for Anna well before any NCAA tournament stuff starts. So let's let it keep going. Right now, you'd have to point at volleyball and say about them, they are the prime women's sport on campus right now. So
And I would say that I don't see this squad losing to one team twice in the same season. So it'll be tough to face Pittsburgh again, but I do see them getting a win, especially if De Beer's back out there.
yeah, getting Pitt at home will be good. No doubt
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
We'll be
that'll help.
happy to see that. But Pitt did kind of have some answers for us, especially in what their middle blocker just seemed to be a little bit better than what we had working for us up there. We'll see if that continues again.
I think
Certainly,
that part of the whole situation with De Beer and her replacements and how Louisville has performed since is that early on we saw Louisville kind of not really have a drop off when she went out. I think part of that was that Louisville just switched to a little bit of a different style of play, and now that people have kind of seen what Louisville looks like when you've got Claire and Iko, and then um, the other
Nana.
hitters that you're having
Mhm.
take care of that with PK and Nena and the gaps that they're trying to fill, like you said defensively, Jeff, with De Beer not being out there. Once you got some more tape of that, or once other teams got some more tape of that,
Mhm.
then you see that it becomes less effective, and that's why Louisville started dropping sets. They've not looked the most crisp. Other teams just are seeing what Louisville's trying to do. I mean, they had 14 errors in last night's match, and 7 of them were blocks by Duke. So other teams are just aware of what Louisville's trying to do now, and hopefully getting De Beer back, both with her talent and the way that she plays, like we talked about, can get Louisville's advantage back on track.
It's also her being out has also blunted a little bit the back row attack, not only because Anna would attack from the back row some, but also because just the way the substitutions are happening. You're not seeing Iko and Claire in the back row as much, and those are the other, primary back row attackers. So even that is changed a little bit as part of this. It's really it's amazing as I have watched this and seen it play out, how comprehensively it's changed the way the lineup works. Around the full line, almost the full lineup. So, like,
Louisville's basically become a completely different team.
yeah, at least on hitting and defense. Now, middles and setting is basically unchanged, but yeah, on the other 3 positions on the court, all the way around the rotation, it's a different ball game.
volleyball, of course, will do well for us, and let's hope that eventually, someday down the road, yes, they can go back to the KFCM Center, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. So we'll see what develops there. Really, one other thing we want to kind of get into before we get into the final thoughts a little bit. The 22-23 Louisville women's basketball squad had their media day earlier this week down at the Cooper Center on campus, where they, as in past years, they traditionally have put all the assorted media there. I think there were maybe 15 of us in that little media room on the first floor there, where they do media interviews and such. And Jeff Wall started out with about a 30-minute question and answer session, which got to be a little bit fun, as he Walls always picks out one person to pick on during those usually, and the buffoon was Rick Bozich, who happened to come in late and then asked a question that had been asked 10 minutes earlier. Coach loved that kind of stuff. Yeah. And of course, while they're still letting Rick Bozich loose in town with his own keys and car is anybody's guess. But he showed up, and he has a fun. The Walls did answer a lot of great questions, Joe. He's really high on the roster, some of the things that are going on. He's very excited about the season start. We did gain just a little bit of information that Monty Lester, one of the 5 freshmen that is going to on the squad, is going to take a redshirt season.
Hmm.
Uh, obviously something I think that she's excited about having to do because she says I get a chance to sit and learn and find out what all is going on. And she kind of akin it to some of the other Louisville players who've had redshirt years and then had really big seasons afterward. Alexa Mobley's in a boot. And we're not talking about the German term for submarine. No, she's actually in a walking cast for a foot injury, unspecified what she did to it. But she's on crutches and probably won't see any action for about 6 weeks for the Cards. I know a lot of people were looking at Alexi as maybe coming in and being a real key off the bench contributor for Louisville women's basketball, but in the boot. And you can hear her and a couple of the other Cards over at the Cardinal Couple website earlier this week, where I was able to get down there and record some of the conversations with the players and such. Out of the ones I did, and I got 6 players in before they called the team over for a team photo. Personal gripe here: it seems like we get less and less time with the players each year that they do this. I was trying to run around like Dagwood Bumstead, trying to talk to as many as I could before all that happened. I think maybe great talk is always with Peyton Verhulst, but I think my favorite may have been with a newcomer on the roster. 6'5" Josie Williams, who just has a sparkling personality, kids. You're going to love her, and I hope she gets to do some post game interviews. She is so much fun and so delightful to talk to. And we even had a hair issue come up. Jeff will cringe at this, but she didn't ask me what I washed my hair, and we were talking about hairstyles. And I said, I've noticed you got 4 hair ties in your bun there. A long, long flowing ponytail. She goes, and you've only got 1. And I said, how can I get to where I've got 4? She goes, wash and rinse and comb. Wash and
Huh?
rinse and comb.
No lather, rinse, repeat.
And I was stunned. I said, there we have it.
Yeah.
After 66 years on this earth, I finally found out the key to washing my hair is wash and rinse. It's
And
amazing
comb.
what I learned. Well, the combing kind of comes later. Yeah, I like to let the air dry first. No towel dry, and then air dry, and then comb later. But if I could grow hair like that, that would be fine. And you're gonna love this girl. Fantastic. She was at Utah
Cool.
Valley State. Certainly did some great things. Made a couple watch lists there during her time at Utah Valley State. Liz Dixon is excited about having her on the team, and you might think to yourself, "What? Aren't they competing for the same position there, Paulie? Are you sure you're right about that?" Liz said she loves the competition in practice, that she's happy to have somebody big like her that can kind of do that stuff in the middle, as it looks like Olivia Cochran is going to move to the power forward slot, from what I've heard. So those two will be battling for center position. And Liz has welcomed the competition. And Liz said something very important too. It was the stuff that Josie and her have talked about and done has helped Liz's confidence level reach an all-time high now. We've talked about it in the past. Liz, sometimes we wondered about her confidence level, and she exuded a lot of confidence too in our interview. And you could tell that it's finally getting to her. She's finally getting it this year, what she can do and how she can do it. So it was good stuff. Let's we'll go around it a little bit here and talk about it a little bit. Louisville women's basketball. Everybody loves them for the ACC champion. We've got 5 players on 5 different lists. Daryl, is this a Final Four team? What are your thoughts on this squad?
Absolutely. We're a Final Four team every year. And I've said it before how excited I am to see Haley Van Lith and Olivia Cochran in their upperclassmen seasons, and we're getting there. Their junior year, they're stronger. They are going to be leading this squad, so I have full confidence in their abilities to run the squad to a Final Four.
Player you're going to be keeping an eye out for to see how she does?
It's got to be Peyton. Peyton won the 3-point contest at Louisville Live last week. She had a hilarious walkout song, which I can't think of at the top of my head, but is an old tune. I'll have to go back and look at my videos, but she's just this personality that can also be maybe, I think, underestimated by another squad. So I mean, everybody knows Haley Van Lith and what she's capable of. So I think that teams might keep Peyton off of their radar, and they're just asking for it.
Peyton, if not a starter, will certainly be a key, I think, coming in off the bench. Okay, Case, we're throwing it to you right now. Final four team here. Are we seeing one? And player that you'll be keeping a special eye out on?
It's hard to say that Louisville hasn't been a Final Four team basically any of the years in preseason, with Jeff Walls at the helm. They've always looked really impressive, and it's always felt like there's someone ready to fill gaps, even when they lose major players. So with Louisville losing a lot less production this year than they have in the past, I think it's definitely pretty easy to say optimistically without even too rosy of glasses to say, yeah, that this is a Final Four team. The player that I'm looking forward most to how they perform, I think for me it's kind of a lame answer, but I'm going to go with Haley Van Lith just because we saw some real flashes of brilliance once she came into her own last year and taking over games and getting uh, more of what we expected to see uh, when she came in, and I think that that's only going to continue as the team fills out more of the other role positions that they've needed, and she can kind of be freed up to do uh, what we've thought we would be seeing from her for the last 2 years as well.
For the record case, Haley Van Lith will never be a lame answer.
Well, fair.
You're always safe by taking HVL as an answer. That is true. And so certainly be mentioned a lot by the various sportscasters that call Cardinal women's basketball on internet and television this season. Haley will be one of the first ones they talk about, probably. All right, Jeff, are you seeing a Final Four team here, and which one of the players are you going to be kind of keeping a special eye out for?
Yeah, I don't know. With Jeff Walls, it's preseason. It always seems like nobody knows what to expect from the team each year, right? There's always new faces and some faces that have departed that maybe weren't expected, and it just ends up with I have no idea what to make of this team in the preseason and what they're going to do. I think any year with Jeff Walls at the helm as the mad scientist, you have to keep an eye towards that being a possibility, that a Final Four being a possibility. So I think potentially it's potentially very well there. There's just so much unknown at this point on how this team is going to come together and perform. I will probably be watching mostly once she gets out of the boot and gets back engaged for Alexia Mobley. She's been a real character to follow on social media. I think she may be a player that can potentially help bring the dunk to the women's game. I think she's very close to being able to do that, from what I understand. So, looking forward to seeing her maybe try some of those in the coming couple of years. So, but she looks like a lot of fun. She looks like she could have a lot of fun out on the court and be a lot of fun to watch. So.
A great interview. We did clarify that she would not be able to use the scooter once she did return to exit.
No.
I kind of said that would be such a great weapon to have on the fast
break.
Yeah,
if you want to block out, think about it.
And especially if you put a little small motor on it. Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah. But she sadly reported she wouldn't be able to use it, but she was looking forward to losing the scooter. So, and I can't blame her one bit for that. As for me, and I think this is a Final Four team with a couple ifs, ands, or buts here. First of all, North Carolina is a team that's gotten immensely better. They're not being talked about, but they've certainly had some very good recruiting. And let's also not forget about Virginia Tech. Kenny Brooks has brought in some very excellent talent to go with Liz Kitley there. I would not be surprised if they give the Cards a run for the conference championship. NC State people are saying it's going to be a little bit more of a down year than normal for them. And at that, I laugh and say, you don't know, obviously, what West can do down there, okay? You have no clue of what they can do. So, NC State, still another team I think that you have to kind of be wary of. Final Four team, I think so. I think they're going to be fine. I think that they'll roll through any region they're in. And with UConn not having their little brilliant can do everything guard available right away, the Cards should be able to go well in any region they end up in. Okay, even though if they're combining everything basically into two formats this year, two settings instead of four different areas in which they're going to play these at, which I think is stupid NCAA, but you do what you got to do. As far as a player, I'm going to be looking at this year and watching quite a bit this year. I just can't help but feel and hope that my buddy Norika Kono is going to get in and do some valuable things off the bench. Okay, yeah, I get it. Unless something dramatic happens, I don't think she's going to get a start. You know, uh, she'll be brought in, to play a little two, play a little three, sometimes maybe for the Cards. But her shot has been fantastic lately. She's exuding confidence. She seems to really be a little more talkative and complimentary and sometimes chiding of the other players on the court with her. She's taking basically a leadership role here, and it's good to see. It's amazing to see after not, as she said in my interview with her, it feels like I've only been on campus like 5 minutes and I'm a senior now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, time flies.
It's gone fast, and let's hope that this is a big banger year for her. So I'll be watching Norika a lot also, and also just waiting to see that big smile when she does something good out there. Because when Norika smiles, the sun is out. Fantastic stuff. That is going to we've gone a little bit over our time slot, but it doesn't matter because I don't know who's on behind us, but they've had to wait. Actually, nobody. We are a podcast. So let's go ahead and roll on into some final thoughts here and get those going. Let's go ahead and start with you, Case. Final thoughts.
Mine is we talked about seniors earlier in the women's soccer program with their season coming to an end. The women's soccer Twitter account put out a really special video from Inside the Huddle, speech given by Sarah Hernandez, who's been a stalwart for this team since she was a freshman. So I just wanted to shout that out and shout her out and tell everybody to go check that out.
Yeah, if you missed that for any reason, go back and find that. Because, yeah, I mean, she had me at the edge of tears and ready to jump up out of my lazy boy and go out there and kick a couple for Sarah, by God. Because she really got them fired up. And hopefully she's okay after the trauma she took on that headshot that she took the other night as well. But, all right, Daryl, final thoughts.
Just excited for the Halloween weekend. Got a few fun things planned and looking forward to basketball getting started soon. And it's an excellent weekend to free Brittany Griner.
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to get her going out of that Russian jail. And I've just got to ask you, is Lulu going to be doing anything with you over the Halloween weekend, or are you leaving her at home?
This cat is wild. I have to be sitting stationary for a while to keep her calm or not here. So, because she's getting back to herself where she wants to play and run and jump and climb, but she's got stitches, and I'm just concerned that she's going to open it on the inside. So it's either sitting still for a long period of time or not being here. But I'm excited she's getting back to herself and feeling better. Thank you for asking.
And certainly we've now determined that if Daryl cannot make a broadcast, she will leave the laptop on where Lulu can
Yeah.
She talks a lot. She has a lot to say.
And if we get a hiss occasionally, we'll know it's something that Case has said that we don't agree with, right?
That means some UK fan left a crappy comment on the comments section. You hear her hissing.
Yeah, no doubt about that for sure. So we look forward to the adventures of Lulu and Daryl as the season goes on. Or just Lulu. I mean, Daryl, now that you got a new job, you may not be able to spend any time with us.
She's got me covered.
As the way Lulu sees it, okay? And I'm sure that we'll get a lot of look at the Villanova Wildcats, the Kentucky Wildcats, and certainly as well. So all within the feline realm. Jeff, final thoughts.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Duke volleyball for a thing that I noticed last night that was a little bit subtle that maybe wasn't noticed so much, particularly if you're watching on the stream. one thing that happens in volleyball, obviously, if you get one team that's substantially better than the other, then sometimes on those hits, the hits can actually impact the players and potentially cause problems and injuries there. Um, there were several times where some of Louisville's hits impacted the Duke volleyball players in the head, shoulders sort of areas, which is always a little bit scary to see. But I want to shout out to Duke volleyball's program that when that happened, they made a very definite point to pull that player aside and do some concussion assessments. I know that's a point of emphasis on a lot of sports on a lot of teams right now, but they did a really good job of that. It happened like 2 or 3 times that player got hit in the head or shoulders or somewhere around in there, and they, including their setter at one point, they pulled them out of the game for a little bit and said, "Hey, let's go over here and do a concussion assessment." So, shout them out just for player health and safety. Um, that was noticed and appreciated.
Certainly, anytime one encounters a rapidly traveling object to the side or front of the head,
Yeah.
it's always a good idea to maybe take them out of action for a while and assess what has happened there.
Yeah. And in fact, one of them actually they were slightly delayed getting them out of the game because they were finishing up the previous concussion assessment still before they could get the player out and do the next one with the athletic trainer. But yeah, it was good to see, support them in that.
Absolutely so. Quality stuff out of Duke. As for me, final thoughts. I just want to give a shout out to a guy who's kind of stepped in here and had to jump in and right off the bat and take care of a very, very important role at U of L, and that's the new women's basketball and women's soccer SID, Matt Paris. Matt has come in and done a wonderful job as far as not only working himself in and ingratiating himself to the other people that he works with. He's got a very great personality. He makes friends easily. He's very insightful on things. And he can even take a little bit of ribbing when he referred to Notre Dame a couple times earlier this year in a women's soccer match. I said, "You're not on that campus anymore, buddy." He used to be one of the SIDs at Notre Dame. I took it with a grain of salt. He's been very helpful, and the door is open for us and other media outlets to go in and talk to him about anything regarding the sports that he's in charge of as an SID. Women's basketball being the next one now that women's soccer is over. I look forward to a lot of meetings with Matt, a lot of fun times with him in the KFCM Center, and just want to thank him for stepping in and uh, getting close to the great job that Nick Evans used to do. I think if you give the guy just a little more time, he'll be right up there on par with what Nick Evans did. So, welcome aboard, Matt. Continue to do the great work. And with that said, that's going to kind of do it for us. We appreciate everybody being with us today, and certainly we look forward to talking with you next week, 11 a.m. on the Cardinal Couple Radio Hour podcast. Go Cards!